Before I introduce my guest today, I want to take it back, oh, a little over 3 years ago. My goodness, we're coming up on four, I guess, 4 years ago to 2020. I can hardly believe that much time has passed. But in
Wow.
2020, I was personal training. I was trying to get my online coaching going at the same time. It was very difficult because I was so busy seeing clients in person that I had very little time to get online and start an online fitness coaching and nutrition business. Well, we all know what happened in March of 2020, the pandemic, and all of a sudden, we didn't know anything at the time. I remember just being completely confused in lockdown and getting on a call with IFCA, and I'm going to explain what that is as I introduce my guest, to look into how to grow my online fitness business because obviously brick and mortar was shut down. I wasn't training people. I had no idea when I was going back or what was going to happen. And I remember being really scared because I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to make this investment right as everything's locking down. And what am I
hmm
thinking? And am I crazy? But I did it, and I am so happy that I did. And my guest today was an instrumental part of my starting my online fitness business and ultimately this podcast that you hear me on now. Erin Dimond is a highly successful serial entrepreneur and co founder of two seven-figure online fitness businesses, T4E Systems and Impact Fitness Coaching Academy, IFCA. But Erin's most important job is being an incredible mother to her son, Jackson, who is about a year and a half now, and a devoted wife to her husband and business partner, Jordan, who is also instrumental in my starting my online business. Erin's rise to success came after she realized that a 9 to 5 medical tech job was not for her. So in 2012, she saved $40,000 while making only $40,000 per year, which is impressive, to open her first gym, Diamond Fitness. After running her gym and building a social media brand, she launched her online coaching business in 2013 and grew that to $500,000 per year in the very first year. Driven by their passion for helping others, Jordan and Erin launched Impact Fitness Coaching Academy, setting the standard for online coaching mentorships. IFCA has helped over 3,600 online coaches, including myself and personal trainers, start and scale their businesses online. In 2022, Erin achieved a significant milestone when she successfully sold T4E Systems, making it one of only two online fitness businesses in the industry to transfer ownership successfully. Erin and Jordan remain active partners in the transfer of T4E Systems. Erin resides in Columbus, Ohio, with Jordan, Jackson, and their three adorable pups, Zeke, Stella, and Mac. Erin, welcome to the show.
Welcome. What an intro, and thank you for doing that. It eliminates all the awkward part of like, okay, let me tell you like a little bit about myself. So that was awesome. Thank you.
It's funny when I know when someone reads my bio, I'm like, wow, I did all that. It's
Uh-huh.
funny to hear it. Um, I
Yeah.
I want to dive into how you started IFCA, how you got there, who you work with, but I like to back it up and find out, okay, you're a medical tech in 2012, which I actually didn't know you were a medical tech. What drove you to just suddenly pivot, save this money, and open a gym?
Yeah. So I actually wasn't a medical tech. I worked for a medical software company. So I'm not sure where
Oh.
the lines got crossed there, but close enough, right? So I worked for a medical software company right out of college, thinking, security, stability. I am interested in the human body and health, and I'm also a little bit interested in business and as a way to like combine those two worlds while also having benefits and all that stuff that we think we care about. So I spent 3 years in corporate America, and after the first 3 months, I was like, this is not for me. It was so soul sucking. I was in a cubicle. I was talking about software every single day that I didn't seem to care about, that was governed by a system that didn't seem to make any sense. And it was just, I just remember looking at my coworkers and thinking, man, they're going to do this for the rest of their lives and they're okay with it. And why am I not? Like I thought something was wrong with me. I was like, why can't I just, settle for this and say, I'm going to get a 4% raise in a year and I'll just be happy about that. And I'll just like stay in my cubicle from 9 to 5 and some days I won't see the sunlight. It's like it seemed like everybody else around me was okay with this. And it was like slowly killing me inside. So I decided, okay, well, if I'm going to hate my job so much, I at least need a hobby or something outside of my job that I really enjoy, and which is where I found fitness and competing. So I started off teaching group fitness classes on the side. Well, first I started taking the classes in the first place. After taking several classes, getting really into it, getting in incredible shape on my own, I just started competing. And I remember one of the boutique owners at one of the fitness classes comes up to me and he goes, "You should teach here." I'm like, "What do you mean I should teach here?" I'm like, "I'm not qualified to do that. I have no idea what you're talking about." And he's like, "You look the part. You have great energy. You just get up there and you just keep people motivated." And I'm like, "Okay, well, what would I teach?" He's like, "Kickboxing." I'm like, "I've never even taken one of your kickboxing classes. I don't know what you're talking about." So, but I was so honored that he believed in me and he thought I could do this. So I just took it to YouTube. I was like, okay, go. And I start YouTubing how to teach kickboxing. What are kickboxing classes? And I would watch these YouTube videos and I would just like write down every single thing the instructor was doing. And so I came to him. I'm like, okay, I think I can do this. He's like, well, are you certified? I'm like, no. He's like, okay, here's an online certification you can get. It's $100. You don't really need to be certified because I'm already giving you a job, but just go ahead and do it. And so I was hooked after that. I remember getting up in front of the room, said, "Oh my God, this is amazing. Like, not only am I getting a great workout in, I'm sharing this with everybody else. They're motivated, they're leaving so excited." And I didn't even like really think about the fact that he was going to pay me for it. I remember I left 3 checks in his desk because I kind of remember him saying, your check will be in the desk and you can just pick it up on Sunday or whatever. But I didn't because it just seemed strange to me that I was getting paid to do something that I enjoyed so much. And then I remember him finally going, "Hey, you have 3 checks here. Are you going to get them?" And I was kind of like, "Are you sure? Like, are you sure you need to pay me to do this? I'm loving it so much." But from there, that's where it just clicked, where I was like, I could do that. I could do something that I really enjoy doing, and I'm doing this thing that I hate doing for money. What could that look like? So I was just determined, and I'd always been really motivated by money and stuff in general. So I was working the 9 to 5. I was teaching the group fitness classes on the side. I also worked a gig for Bacardi, so like the shot girls that you see walking
Hmm.
around in the bar. I was doing that, which was really fun actually. I was doing that every Friday and Saturday. So I barely slept. I was like 24, so somehow it all worked. But I was working like 65 hours a week between the 3 jobs, and I knew there had to be a way out. And that way out was either I'm going to save a bunch of money, and I don't know what my plan was, retire or something, or I'm going to find a way out through fitness. And eventually I did find that way out through fitness that I'm so, so, so thankful for.
Oh, wow. I love your story so much. And it's made me remember why I was attracted to you. Because I wound up, getting a hold of you in Jordan because I was listening to you on a podcast, then began listening
Mm,
to the podcast that both of you do together. And it's your
very cool.
story. Yeah, it's your story because I started much the same way, where the gym owner said, why don't you teach this class and get this certification? It was the same thing. I was thrown into group fitness and I did
Awesome.
kickboxing and I was
Really?
and I was
That's
on
amazing.
I was on Google trying to figure out, how
Yep.
to do it, how to do the count, the music, all of the things.
Uh-huh.
So I related to that so much. So
Yeah.
then you move into the brick and mortar business and from there the online. So why did you go from brick and mortar to online?
Yeah, good question. So I I actually I kind of did that. I kind of did both at the same time. So around the time that I was competing and deep in this hobby of fitness and hating my life, I just started sharing my fitness journey online. Like this was in 2012 when Instagram, like when we were posting just photos of our food and like not really using the app for anything. I started out of boredom, really, just sharing photos of my physique progress, of all of my workouts. This is before Instagram even had videos, so I was just sharing photos of everything. And I was getting really good feedback of people saying that I was inspiring them and stuff like that. And so the natural progression, people started asking, could you help me? Could you help motivate me? Could you help me with a workout, this, and this? And again, kind of along with the theme, when asked, can you do this kickboxing class? I don't know how. Same thing. Well, I don't really know how, but I'm sure we could figure it out, right? So I started selling online coaching for, I think my first client was like $100 a month or something like that, and just like sending her workouts, just only simply communicating through email. Got her really great results. Started talking about that because I was super excited about it. More and more people started slowly asking. But that business actually took off rather quickly. So within 3 months, I had tripled the salary I was making at my full-time job with that because I was like, I'm helping these people. I'm doing a great thing. I'm taking one client after another. And I had replaced the Bacardi gig with that, all the other outside stuff with that. And I was like, I think I could do this, but I'm like, this isn't a real job. Like, what is online fitness coaching? What am I going to do? I'm going to quit corporate America to be an online fitness coach. And so as like a cover up to have a real job, I said, okay, I'm going to open a gym because that's a real job because then I like won't seem so crazy. So and I was too embarrassed to tell my employer that I'm going to go be an online fitness coach. I was like, hey, I'm putting in my resignation because I'm going to go open a gym. And it was all just the fact that I didn't trust myself. So I quit there. I had to invest tens of thousands, maybe $100,000 to like prove that I had a real business. So I opened this brick and mortar. Um, and going back now, I would do it again. I would open a gym again because I loved the community. I loved the environment. I just had no idea how to make any money inside of the gym model back then. And obviously online can be so much easier, so much more freedom, so much like more lucrative potential, and actually can help people a lot better too than a gym because people were wandering around a gym not knowing what they're doing. So open the gym, shut the gym down after 5 years after I finally had the confidence to go, you know what, I'm pretty good at this online thing, and I'm just going to completely run with that instead.
Oh, wow. See, this is something else I have in common with you. I owned a fitness studio for a period of time, so I
Hmm.
had the brick and mortar as well. And it was hard for me to figure out how to make
Yeah.
money inside of that business and to compete with all these big box gyms that could offer what I was offering for so much less. And so I
Hmm.
definitely relate to that. Now,
It's a hard model.
it is a hard model. I mean, I'm like you, I'm really glad I did it because I learned quite a bit, quite a bit. Working with
Hmm.
people in person, you can definitely bring that into the online space. Now, I hear a lot from personal trainers and people that would like to get into the online space. They'll say to me, it's saturated. What do you think about that? Do you think it is saturated, or how can someone stand
Man,
out?
yeah, I think that's such a funny thing because yeah, it's more saturated than it was in 2012 when I would say I'm an online fitness coach and people would be like, what's that? They'd have no idea. But I bet if you asked 10 people walking down the street if they know what an online fitness coach is, five of them would still tell you that they still don't even know what it is, right? Probably one of them would ever say that they've ever even had one. There actually was a study recently, and I think sometimes as fitness coaches or personal trainers, whatever, we get stuck in our little bubble. And so a bunch of people that you follow might be fitness experts and fitness authorities, but for like, Susie that you went to high school with, you're probably the only fitness person that she knows. Like you're her authority. And we sometimes forget that. And we stay in our little fitness bubble. But if you zoom out of the fitness bubble, and something I'm really passionate about as of late, I think the healthcare industry is coming around finally to
Yes.
understanding that health coaching and nutrition coaching is so important for the general population. At our last live event, Vince Pitstick actually shared this in his presentation. He said that on surveys done of patients, 80% of people said that they've never been offered health coaching, that they're interested in health coaching, but they've never been offered it. So they've never seen an online fitness coach. They've never had anyone say, hey, could you use some help in this regard? But they're interested in it. So that's wild to me that is a reason that people are afraid to get in by thinking it's so saturated. There's always going to be people who need to get in shape. There's always going to be people who care about their health, and there's way, way, way fewer people who are helping with those problems.
Yes, yes, very true. And then I think people forget they're not people are not buying coaching, they're buying coaches. And so
Absolutely.
maybe they won't resonate with one coach, because I've had that happen, but you resonate with somebody
Hmm.
else. You feel a connection and go, hey, I would like to work with that person. It seems like we have the same values. And so that, there's definitely room. And I agree with you. Finally, the health industry is coming on board. Doctors simply do not have the time. They can say,
Yeah.
hey, you need to stabilize your blood sugar, or you're insulin
Hmm.
resistant. We need to change your. They don't have time to work with patients on nutrition or exercise or the pieces like that.
Yeah, they don't have time. They oftentimes don't have the knowledge
Hmm.
either. And the system isn't set up for them to bill for it, so they have no incentive to do it. And I don't mean that as a bad way towards them. We actually help tons of physician assistants, nurses, and even doctors inside of IFCA because they were in that system and it just felt wrong. They're like, I would literally get paid if I would put this person on a weight loss medication, but I wouldn't get paid if I gave them a 30-minute nutrition consult. And that just didn't feel right to me. And so they've left to start their own businesses in a way that they feel like they can help people ethically.
Oh yes, I've been seeing that too, where people
Hmm.
are leaving that space and either going into the functional medicine aspect of it or more into the health coaching, which is a good thing. There is a good trend going now. Now,
Hmm.
what do you see? Coaches come to you, they're interested in starting their online health coaching, nutrition, fitness business. What do you think is the biggest obstacle that they've got to get past in order to start this business?
Yeah, it depends on the person. So if we're talking about the healthcare provider, that person's biggest obstacle is themselves and their own beliefs. They are so used to following a quote unquote plan, but this plan of theirs is very silly because you can lose a job a lot easier than you can like lose your own whole business. So their biggest thing is just following a little bit less conventional path and understanding like, okay, maybe I am not gonna, maybe I'm gonna have to pay for my own benefits. And maybe I don't know what the next few steps are. And maybe oh my gosh, can I bill for insurance? I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure it out. It's just like this ability to trust themselves and know like they have to get over the hump for their entrepreneurial
Hmm.
mindset. For others, it's funny because right before this I actually created a whole master class for inside of our program that's called Entrepreneurial Foundations, and we talk about skills, character traits, and beliefs. And we teach so many skills, and usually it's not the skills that hold people back, it's the character traits and it's the beliefs. So some of those beliefs, a lot of them come down to fear of judgment, fear of failure, just like not wanting to start in the first place because they don't know exactly what the path is going to look like or what's going to happen, or they don't want to put themselves out online because they're afraid that somebody's going to judge them. It's like usually just taking that first step. But what's funny is these things never go away in entrepreneurship. Like we help people in IFCA from people who've never taken their first client all the way up to people who are hiring like their eighth employee and they have a seven-figure business, you know? So these beliefs, they hurt them at all different steps of the way. Even if you take like the big business, like they're hiring somebody else, nobody ever feels qualified to do that. We have 25 people on our team, and I look at myself every day and I'm like, why do these people work for me? Like there's always going to be something that is like that little voice in the back of your head. And I'd say that's the biggest thing. And comparing yourself to others and going, oh, this person has something that I don't have, which in the reality, it's not true. They just continued to put in more reps until they had this like little bucket of confidence to go, you know what, I'm just going to tell that little voice to shut up because this evidence over here says I actually can do this thing.
Hey, just a really quick interruption to the episode that you'll want to listen to if you are a health or a fitness coach or even an aspiring one. If you're struggling to grow your business and need help with marketing, sales, lead generation, systems, all of the things, make sure to check out a free masterclass where you will learn how to add 5,000, 10,000, or even 25,000 to your monthly bottom line without having to cold DM strangers, spend a fortune on paid ads, or feeling lost in the sea of other fitness coaches online. It's hosted by two of my previous mentors, Erin Dimond and Jordan Duggar. I was a student of their incredible mentorship. IFCA, Impact Fitness Coaching Academy, and this was where I learned the systems and strategies that I continue to use in my online fitness coaching company to this day. They were a huge help to me in my journey. Do check out the link to join the free masterclass in the show notes. Now, let's get back to the episode. Oh, you hit on something so good there, putting in the reps, because that's
Mm-hmm.
really what it's all about. Even with social media, it's doing the posting, posting on the regular, being on your stories, uh, putting yourself out there a little bit to see, okay, this
Yeah.
resonated, this didn't, this worked, this didn't, and everything is a test. I think we're testing things constantly to see what's going to work.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in the beginning, like you can attract people organically. You can also pay for advertising. You don't want to jump right into paying for advertising if you've never done the organic thing because it's like a really dumb testing ground. Why would you pay money to test when you could test for free and
Right.
refine your message and all of those things? Um, so many people though, like Nine, 98% of people are just looking to be led. So it's so scary to them to go, you know what? I'm going to have a unique idea and I'm going to put it out online and I'm going to tell people, hey, follow me and think like me. It's getting over that initial part because our system and society doesn't set us up for that. It tells us that you have to go to, you know, college and then you have to buy a house and you have to get 2 point, you have to have 2.5 kids and you have to, like, life has to go this way. And it's really just deciding it's okay to be different, I think, is the biggest thing where people get stuck. And like that shows up in all of their work. And especially, it's funny what shows up with social media and online. We've only had it for 15 years now, but it's such a mirror for people. And so many people just stop there.
Yes, I know when I first started, I had that kind of what they call imposter syndrome, where I would
Mm-hmm.
say to myself, who do you think you are? Or I would think other people
Mm-hmm.
were saying it. And then there was this kind of shift where some people unfollowed me because I wasn't behaving in the way and doing the
Yeah.
things I had always done. Like the old
Mm-hmm.
Carol did this and I was doing this, but new people came on board. And that's a little bit scary to put yourself out there in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. We always tell people that. We'll say, as your engagement goes down, your business is going to grow because really if you try to speak to everybody, you're going to speak to nobody. And so, like how the general population uses social media, it's very safe. Here's some photos of my kids. Here's what we did over the holiday. Like, I'm not going to ruffle any feathers. I'm not putting an opinion out there. And that's fine because that's for everybody, but nobody's going, oh my God, Carol, I was so inspired by the photo of your kids in front of the Christmas tree. Like, you're not impacting anybody when you do that. But when you take a stance and you say, hey, women going through perimenopause should not do this thing, you're going to have a bunch of people go, I don't care what women through menopause need to do. I'm not listening to this. But then you're going to have some people who go, oh my God, this is my life. Tell me more about this. Can I please speak on the phone with you? Can I please give you money? You just have to be willing to draw that line in the sand if you're really going to change people's lives.
Oh, yes. And I think something that helped me too is to realize if I don't help these women or my potential clients, somebody else is going to do that. They need help. I know
Hmm.
how it was when I was looking for help to start the business. I needed help. And so if you hadn't put yourself out there, I wouldn't know, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, it makes perfect sense. There was something I wanted to say. Oh, another like mind trick I like to do with myself too, or with people who are struggling, is what's your prospect's alternative? Because you might have imposter syndrome come up. You might go, oh, can I really help this person? I'm not sure. And you're going to try and you're going to do your best. And the answer is yes, because goodness, if you just get on the phone with some of these women and you realize what they're doing and what they think they're supposed to do, you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I can definitely help you. But as professionals, we get in our own heads. So if you ask yourself, what's the alternative? Their alternative is usually, well, you know what? I'll just eat 1,200 calories and I'll just go to Planet Fitness and I'll just do every machine in there. Can you do a better job than that? Yeah, absolutely. So it's like it's actually unethical to not help them and not sell them on your program and not take their money and like
Right.
to not get over your own fears.
Absolutely. I want to back up just a little bit here. You had talked earlier, you kind of hit on it a little bit about setting things up, I think, I forget how you worded it, but setting things up in such a way, going through the steps correctly. I feel like sometimes when a coach goes online, personal trainer goes online, they're all over the map. They're, okay, I'm going to
Hmm.
start a podcast and I haven't even, built my email list. And what I
Yeah,
liked about your program is that it really did lay that lay the foundation. That's what you said. Lay the foundation. Get the bricks laid. Get that foundation going before you start to launch these other things. Do you see that as something that is just critical for setting up business?
absolutely. Yeah, well, when we bring somebody into our program, our goal for 60% of our students, and because there's 40% who like maybe they just have like much further to go, but for 60% of our students, we want to get them their, I'm sorry, let me go back. 60% of beginners, 60% of people who have never taken an online client before, which is probably less than 40% of who we help with an IFCA. But you take that beginner, our goal is to get 60% of those beginners their first client in the first week. And then from there, we like to backtrack and set up systems because reason being is we need buy-in. We need them to trust us. We need them to know this is going to work because we don't also want to be the result of the motion versus action. So, yeah, it's really important to set up a strong foundation, but I also think it's important to show a coach, hey, you can make money doing this. Watch, do this, and you're going to get inquiries, and then sell them at this price, and then I'm going to tell you what to do for there. It just builds confidence. They go, wow, are you kidding me? Okay, I'm on to something. What else? And they listen. Similarly to how you wouldn't want to bring a fitness client in and be like, okay, cool. So first thing we're going to do is up your calories and you're not going to lose any weight for 6 months. They'd be like, that's not, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? So if we were like, okay, so the first thing you're going to do is this and this. So we like to get a really quick win. That's the first thing we like to do. But then you're absolutely right. We like to think through this. So we have homework around a student's like ICA, but more important, their offer. What problem are they solving? What things are they going to say in their messaging that justifies why their prospect has failed in the past? Because you talked about the market being saturated earlier. It's not that the market is saturated with too many fitness coaches, but there is a high level of skepticism now around fitness claims because there's just so much BS out there now, right? Like in I don't know what year the shake weight came out, but like that was like a viable thing back then. People were like, okay, cool, I could probably hold this thing and whatever. People just they're not fooled anymore, right? So we need to be really crafty in our messaging around what is the problem that we're solving. And I would say this is even different than when you came through IFCA. We refine this even more now because 4 years later, there is even higher skepticism. Like we can't really say the same things anymore and have people go, they're like, no, I've already tried that. Like even just saying like, I help you with your macro tracking. People are like, nope, tried it, didn't like it, failed at it. That's not going to work for me. So getting really clear on who do you help, but more importantly, how do you help them? And how do you communicate it in a way that justifies their past failures and makes them go, oh, that's why that last thing didn't work. But what Carol's saying is that maybe, it's like it's my metabolism or it's my age or it's the fact that I'm going through menopause or it's this thing, like that is probably the thing I didn't work on in the past. Let me hop on the phone with her and see what she has to say. So you have to communicate it clearly. But once we have the offer and the messaging dialed in, then it's just stacking skills. Then it's, okay, do you know how to have the conversation on the sales call? Do you know how to coach them? Cool, let's do it. Let's do a launch. Let's get your next 7 clients. Then you've been able to look at IFCA and go, awesome, this was a great investment. And then we're off the races after that to build your business.
Oh, yes, you're right about it changing from 2020 because I've noticed that too. The space got louder and noisier. I know sometimes I
Hmm.
feel like everybody's talking at once and very
Yeah.
loudly if I'm scrolling through, and there's
Yep.
all these conflicting opinions. One person saying seed oils are bad, the other person saying, oh, seed oils are fine, saturated fat is bad. And
Yeah.
it's this back and forth. So people they're more savvy, I think. And you're right, they've tried a lot of different things, intermittent fasting, keto, macro tracking. And so positioning things a little bit different is so important. And what you said about the win, I think is great too. People need to feel,
Hmm.
okay, I'm in the right place, I'm in the right field, and get that win right off the
Yeah.
bat. So
For
important.
I'd say for any fitness coaches listening, make sure you do that with your clients. Like as when I was a fitness coach, a lot of women that would come in, they would need a reverse diet. But I'd say, we're gonna do that. But if I made them do that week one, they would hate me. So I would put them through a little flush, or I would do something to like, decrease bloating or get something to go, huh? Wow, this is awesome. I feel really great. Okay, let's see if we can lose a couple of pounds. Then I would warn them that the reverse diet is coming, but I would never jump right to that because they would lose all trust and buy-in with me, and then my retention wasn't very great.
Oh yes, reverse dieting, that is a tough one. I find that is hard, and maintenance. People struggle a lot with maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
It's not sexy like weight loss or reducing body fat and seeing the
Yeah.
measurements go down, seeing the scale go down. It's a
Yeah.
difficult one. So I hear you on that.
I'll say that if you're struggling, not you or if anyone listening is struggling in their program and they're losing clients when they take them to that maintenance phase, try to just give them different goals that have less to do with their body. Like buy them work into the price of your program, but buy them an Aura ring and get them really obsessed with that data and get them sleeping better. And or just ask them about other goals, like if they want to communication better in their marriage, check in on that with them. Like you got to kind of distract them from the scale. If otherwise, if you're just like looking at macros and looking at numbers week after week after week, they're like, okay, I've got this. This is fine. This area of my life, like that box is checked. But you really want to like expand beyond that and get them to be thinking beyond that.
Oh, yes, it's so good to be tracking those other lifestyle habits. I know that's something I've added in over the years to my program is let's
Mhm.
look at your sleep, let's look at stress.
Mhm.
Let's maybe consider, have some labs done and look at cortisol levels, look at hormone levels, and
Yes.
approach things a little bit differently, maybe even bringing in meditation or something like that that people
I love
people
that.
can
Yeah,
use. Yeah,
absolutely.
breathing
Yeah.
techniques as well. Now, we talked about how the online space has changed. I want to go all the way back. If you could do something differently, because I know I have things where I went, oh, I would have done that differently. If you could do something differently, either with the fitness business that you started or the business coaching, what would that be?
Oh man, this is an easy answer. So a minute ago I talked about skills, character traits, and beliefs for an entrepreneur. Those are the three things that attribute to success. And I just had one major belief that got in my way all the time, and it held me back. So, well, I say it held me back. It held me at a certain level. I was a really hard worker, so I worked really hard for 5 years. But the one belief that I had, I just had a terrible money mindset. So I was so afraid to spend any money in either one of my businesses, meaning I didn't hire anybody to help me inside of the business. I didn't hire any mentors. I didn't like I mean I didn't have a VA. I didn't have like anything at all. I was just like frugal McGee because I just thought if I spent money then it was gone and I needed to just hoard every penny that I had because I grew up without much money. So it's just like this misbelief that I had. And if I could go back, I would have just gotten through that sooner. I don't know how. I would have just needed someone to shake it out of me. I would have needed, like, today, 35-year-old Erin to come back and just talk to 25-year-old Erin about it. But if I could have just seen that, I always think about, gosh, like if I had the knowledge that I had now, and there were people I could have asked, I just like needed to pay them money. If I could have like hired people to help me, I could have impacted so many more women. I could have done a better job. I mean, at one point in my fitness coaching company, had a roster of 200 clients all to myself.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I worked around the clock to serve them, but I know I wasn't giving them the best quality of service. If I could have had assistant coaches that were helping me, I just couldn't get over the belief of like spending money in my business.
Oh, so good. So
Thankfully,
good.
I finally did, but it changed everything for me.
I think a lot of us go through that. We have that kind of scarcity mindset around clients. So I know sometimes I would take clients
Hmm.
that weren't the best fit, so I would do that. And then that scarcity mindset around making that investment and letting go. And speaking of that investment, what what should someone look for in a business coach? What are the things that they should be looking for, the questions they should be asking?
Yeah, I'd say first thing is just results. Like really do your homework. I'd say results has the person that you're investing in done the thing that you want to do. Have they helped people do the thing that you want to do? Because those who play can't always coach. So have, to have, do they have student results? Have they done it? Um, and I mean, beyond that, then you want to know the how. So, like to enroll people in our program, I'm sure you do the same thing. We hop on the phone with every single person because every single case is unique, and we want to look at where they're at and where they're trying to go. And then the goal of that conversation is to make sure that we can help them, but also reasonably explain how we can help them. And if somebody can't explain how they're going to help you do something in 60 minutes, or if that tells me that either A, they don't know, or B, they don't understand business enough to know that by providing you a bunch of value and giving you a bunch of solutions, you're going to go, oh my gosh, what if I just paid this person for help? So advice I'd give you is if you are considering getting help in your business, hiring somebody like IFCA, just hop on the call because those strategy calls, they really are there for strategy. And I'll give you the secret. Our goal is let me provide a bunch of value on this call. So you go, wow, they just gave me some solutions and some answers to my business. What if I just paid them for more of it? So the goal is to give you free advice. So whether you're thinking, I don't know if I want to do this, I don't know if I have the money for it, whatever it is, I would encourage you to just hop on some of those free calls anyway.
Providing that value is so important, whether it's a phone call, a consultation, a webinar, any masterclass,
Hmm.
anything like that. Just bringing that value is so important. Well, I want to
Yeah,
be.
that's been our whole marketing strategy with our podcast, and I'm sure you get the same thing. People will say to you, I you helped me so much on the podcast that now I want to be a client of yours.
Yes, and the podcasts, because they get to know me, um,
Hmm.
hear me antonate. They are more connected when we get on that phone call. Finally, they feel like they know me, which is
Yeah.
really important. And I know a lot of coaches, especially in the beginning, they're afraid to give it all away.
Yeah, nope. People pay for the implementation. They pay because they trust you. Like you said, the space is so noisy. They don't want to have to figure out, can I eat seed oils? Can I do this? Can I do this? They just want to say, Carol, tell me what to do because I trust you. But how do you build that trust? You've got to show up and you've got to like be a person and they've got to realize, oh, like I like her character and I like her belief system. They've got to get to know you.
And yes, the implementation so big, the trust factor also big, but having
Hmm.
somebody who can take you through a system, like this is what we're doing
Yeah.
first, this is what we're doing second. I'm kind of a system step-by-step gal, so that
Hmm.
that really attracted me to your program, being able to set things up in a way that was tactical and realistic for me. I
Good.
want to
Well, I'm glad.
be respectful of your time, Erin. And as we begin to wrap up, is first of all, is there anything that I didn't ask that you would like the listeners to know?
Um, that's a good question. Really, I think where people get stuck, and it's the most frustrating thing for me where they get stuck is when they just simply don't believe in themselves. So if you have an itch and you're thinking, man, I've really been into health and fitness coaching and like it'd be so cool to do that, start exploring that. I hate when people stop it right there and just go, "Oh, it's not for me." Like, I'm whatever whatever belief it is to get in their way. So that's like my ethos. That's my life message is just kind of like, well, why not you? Why not try? And that goes for fitness coaching, but that literally goes for anything. Anything that's on your heart. Just like, what if you thought the opposite of the way you were thinking? What if you thought that it actually was your life calling to try to do that thing? So that's not really a question
Yes,
to ask, but that's just, I guess, one thing I'll leave your audience with.
that's very good advice because it all starts with our mind and getting rid of some of those limiting self beliefs. And our brains, of course, want to keep us safe and in the same spot,
Yeah,
and recognizing that, and being willing to remove some of those self-limiting beliefs. So important. Where
yeah,
can listeners connect with you, find out more about IFCA, and follow you?
yeah. So we also have a podcast, the Fitness Business Podcast, and so you can hop over there on, if you're already on the the podcast platform. My personal Instagram, I'm there all the time. It's Erin Dimond Fitness, Diamond without an A, so Dimond. We have the IFCA page, which is Impact Fitness Coaching Academy on Instagram. Those are probably the three main places. If you follow us, me or someone on our team will probably message and see how we can help you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Erin. I'll put all of this in the show notes. And thank you for being on today. Appreciate it so much.
Amazing. Thank you, Carol.
And to our listeners, wherever you are in the world, we wish you every blessing. Bye bye.